I'm the DKJ. I'm back. I'm with Matt Floyd, whose story goes far beyond boxing. He is a gentleman, and just wait until you hear his story. How you doing, Matt?
Good, brother. Thanks for coming, man.
Awesome. So, how are you feeling ahead of your fight, Anthony Taylor, on the 13th of June?
Feeling good, man. Just looking forward to it. Gonna go out there, have some fun. Have some fun with this fight.
Any predictions?
You know, like, I don't ever think, I was always told you never go for a knockout in a fight, but I think, you know, I'm just going to go out there, be calm and have fun. I'm pretty sure I'll finish the fight pretty early, in maybe the third or fourth round or something. But, you know, like, I respect everyone, every fighter, and anyone, you know, that goes out there, anything can happen. So, but I'm pretty confident that it will be over, like, pretty early.
Fantastic. Let's rewind just a little bit. Young Matt Floyd, growing up in foster care. Can you just touch very briefly on that? You was kind of trotting from different homes, is that correct?
Yeah. So I lived in some good homes and some bad ones, some foster families. You know, I lived with I call them the pedophile family when I was about 10. They were making kids, mate. I was the oldest kid there. They had their own biological child and they had other foster children, but I was the oldest kid there. I ran away from there. I always felt like a coward for running away because I was the oldest, and yeah. And then I lived with some good families after that, and then I ended up with one of my basketball coaches, who he was a pedophile himself as well. And that's where I started, you know, eventually when I heard about the pedophile family, I heard they got done and it was on the news and that, and this guy was a pedophile now, and I was just scared, like a real scared little kid, and I just turned one night, I just, you know, turned on him and became I created this this person that's not scared of no one and will fight anyone, and, you know, that's evolved into who I am today.
And that was in the second, your last foster.
He wasn't a foster family, that guy. He was a basketball coach.
Okay.
So I wasn't like, I was just staying with him a little bit. It wasn't for that long. He was, I respected him because he was, back home in West Australia, we've got the Perth Wildcats, who's like our like main team, I guess.
Sure.
You haven't really got basketball teams in England, do you?
We do, but it's not
the sport. I was trying to make, you know, it was like, you know, how you got the
London, the London Giants.
So anyway, he was, Perth Wildcats was like our, you know, like if you played basketball where I'm from, that's the team, you know, the main team.
Sure.
And I followed them, and he was like one of the part of the coaching staff with them, and then he was a basketball coach for juniors. So I looked up to him because he could get me good tickets to the games. And anyway, we became close, and I ended up staying with him a bit. And he, yeah, and that's pretty much what happened.
Wow. So these people eventually got done for what they were doing, kind of taking children innocently and basically abusing them. Yeah. They got perpetrated.
Not the basketball coach never got done. I never went. You know, my mum, she always knew about it, and I think there was rumours about it. I remember in high school, but I'd always deny it because obviously, when I went to high school, when I wasn't like a kid in primary school, I didn't have any friends. I was a bit of a loner. I was scared, like I said. And when I went to high school, I became this fighter, and I was a good athlete. I became a freak athlete overnight. Wow. And then you know, I'd fight anyone, and I was popular in high school. So I didn't want anyone to know about that because my life changed overnight when I went to high school, and I didn't want anyone to know about that. So the pedophile family, when I was about 10, Bob and that, they got done. Yeah, they got done. They were making kids make videos. They're making, you know, I don't know how many kids, but they were making videos. They were making us make videos, and we would perform, like we'd pretend, you know, we'd play out, you know, scenes. You know, we'd get married, or we could be like King Arthur, and you know, the knights around, you know, and there'd just be different plays, and then we'd have to do stuff with each other as well and stuff like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
How did you get through that as a child? you as a child when all of this was going on?
When you're a child, you don't actually think that the adults are doing bad stuff. You think you're doing bad stuff. So like when you and the other kids are doing stuff, you think that you're doing the bad stuff, and you think that you're too scared because you think you're gonna get in trouble and stuff like that. I remember one of the girls that lived at the house, she came into my bed one night, and because I was only young, and she thought it was normal, like she wanted to do stuff, and I didn't because I knew it was wrong, and I was like, no, we can't, like we're too, like it's not, normal, and but like she's like, but why not? Like we do it, like on videos and stuff, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do stuff, like I'm not interested in that. I was only 10,
Wow.
She was probably 8 or 9, and it was just very.
It's just a warped.
You're very strange. So when you're a kid, you don't think like all these people were doing stuff wrong. You think you're doing the stuff that you think you're the one that's doing wrong. Even as an adult, you still look back and because even on now, you will say, or anyone will say to me, this is why I don't bother speaking to counsellors, because they'll be like, it wasn't your fault. You're a kid, blah blah. It doesn't matter, because when you feel them emotions as a child, you can't escape that. So now, no matter what, I felt that now as a kid. So even though I know now that was all wrong and everything, it doesn't change the feelings I had back then. So I can't escape that trauma. So it's still there,
And obviously, being in that environment, with kind of fast forwarding now in your teens, in your young adult age, obviously the authorities are now looking and investigating into what these adults were making you do. Obviously, am I right in saying you kind of got embroiled in probably the wrong crowd, which probably led you into like to other things which you probably wouldn't be doing right now? Is that right?
Do you mean the kidnapping or pedophiles?
The kidnapping, but as in like when you stepped in your first time going into prison, was that just an accumulation of...
I went to prison, like obviously my last sentence that I did was the longest sentence for, for the crimes that they got me for. And but as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, I went to prison a few times. And then, but the last one was my main sentence. So yeah.
Wow. And okay, so now you're in prison. Let's just talk about your prison stint, because you said most of your 20s. Would you say you was in prison? Yeah. What was prison like?
Prison was fine. Being away from loved ones is the worst part about it. Prison's all right for me. I don't use drugs. I don't smoke cigarettes, which is 90% of the issues in there. I run the gym in there. I was head of the peer support, so I was a counsellor to other prisoners, so I got to help a lot of other prisoners. I did a lot in the gym, and I just trained every day and made the most of it. Prison isn't so bad, it's just being away from everyone, So I being away, like losing all that time, and and it's far too long, the sentences you get. Like after about a year or two, it's probably like, yeah, okay, I understand now what I've done is wrong. I want to get out. I want to fight. I want to do this. I probably knew that already, and then it just dragged on a few more years, So it's probably a bit too long, the prison sentences, but it is what it is,
Okay. And this is where, because you're sat here about to be on a massive stage in boxing, and to say the least, you wasn't groomed to be a boxing star from the age of 6.
No.
Talk to me about actually your boxing journey, because a lot of that you self-taught yourself in prison. Is that right?
Yeah, I trained myself mainly how to fight. Like I've been to gyms and I've picked brains and I'm training with good coaches now and things like that. But if you ask me an honest question about like who, like how have you learned to fight? Like I'd have to say 90% I trained myself, and then 10% from, picking brains and these other, it's a bit hard to train me right now. Like there's people that are improving me right now, making, helping me and making me a bit better, because you can always get better forever. But, I mainly did most of it on my own, yeah.
Crazy. And how old were you when you first stepped into a boxing gym?
I was going in and out of gyms and stuff when I was like, 16, 17 years old and stuff. Yeah, I was going in and out, but I never had a trainer and a team and was sparring and doing all that. I was going on and off, on and off, on and off. I could never commit because of ADHD, and it was hard for me to be, with a team or a trainer or whatever. And then I was in and out of trouble. But the first time, like when I got out of prison, I opened my own gym.
Wow.
Because I had my own gym in my 20s too, where I was taking people off the street and that, and then I did it again with the teenagers now. I've had this gym for 8 years, so I still haven't really gone into another gym again now. I opened my own gym, you know what I mean? And I got one boy who I trained, and he's the Australian champion now. I took him off the street when he was 16, and I've trained him, and he sort of fights with the same style as me. So I'm sort of training these boys to have a similar style to me, and yeah, and it works.
Hard worker, hustler. Was that always you?
Always.
Entrepreneurial?
Always from a kid, man. I had to be, because I wanted to live with my mum. So my mum had no money and she was sick. And when I was a boy, I thought if I made heaps of money, I could live with my mum. I didn't have to live with these people.
Sure.
So I've always tried to make money for that reason.
Right. And now, kind of in prison, you was training, you've got yourself to professional level, and you're training for your first fight in prison.
Yeah, pretty much I was training every day in prison, knowing I was going to fight as soon as I got out, yeah. I just had it in my head, thinking about it, you know, walking out, fighting people, yeah. I always knew I was going to get to where I am now, you know. In fact, I thought I was going to do it a bit quicker, but we do everything the hard way.
That's fascinating. And in prison, all you had was a cell.
Mainly a little mirror, like a little square mirror, because you spend so much time in your cell. That's where you have to do most of your shadow boxing, your training. But as soon as we had time, I'd move around in a bigger room, or I'd spar the boys if we could, you know, if we could get away with it, we'd sneak off into this room and 4 or 5 of us would spar, and you know, and then at the gym
that literally is just a mirror.
Yeah,
a
little square
shadow
mirror.
boxing.
Yeah.
You can't see your feet, you just
no, you can't see your body, you just see from up here. And yeah, and I did that for hours and hours every day.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And would you say that is where you had accountability, discipline?
Yeah.
You forged a lot of your
Yeah.
great character, what you have right now.
Yeah, in front of that mirror.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was the hardest part of prison, would you say?
Like I said before, just being away from people.
Being away
Not
from
being able to
family.
see people, not being able to be with people was definitely, by far, it's the only thing really. If it wasn't for that, like, prison would be pretty easy.
Are you an introvert or extrovert, would you say?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. All right. So you're fighting, you're about to have your first professional fight at age 30, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
I think I was 31, eh?
Oh, wow.
Come to think about it. 20.
And you've just
Yeah.
turned 37.
Yeah.
So in 6 years, you've gone from professional fighting,
Yeah.
just stepping out of prison, to now massive platform,
Yeah.
the Zone, Misfits.
Well, I fought on the Zone a few times now. You know, I fought Mosley, I fought James DeGale, Cyril Mong would have been on the Zone. I fought quite a few times now.
Sure. Let's touch on that actually, because you've mentioned some of your massive fights which you've been known for. Let's start with Shane Mosley.
Yeah.
That one, no one had you to even make it competitive.
Yeah.
Not only did you make it competitive, you won.
Yeah, and like I won every round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can you walk us through?
I knew I'd win.
How that came
Yeah,
about.
I knew I'd win that fight. I know he's a bit older and people say anything, but like I was offered the fight, and I think anyone would fight Shane Mosley. He was my hero. He looked, he was in great shape. He was sparring Devin Haney. It was a very emotional fight for me because I met him as a child, and there was emotion back then when I met him, and that ended up being destiny. So I felt something when I first met him, and obviously the whole point of that story was to fight him. And I think...
I hear you sparred him as well?
So not properly sparred him because I was a kid, I was just a teenager.
Right.
But he was in West, where I'm from. I think he had a girlfriend there, and we don't get many celebrities. And he was, probably was my first hero, especially after this moment. I think he was fighting Floyd Mayweather back then, but he was already well famous regardless.
Sure.
And he was just there, and he was sparring some pros, and I was just hanging around watching, and he saw me, and he's like, come on then, jump in. And he didn't have to do that because, when you're at that level, they don't normally say to kids, jump in the ring. Anyway, so I got to move around with him for a bit. It wasn't anything serious. But I felt a moment then, which ended up being like, when the fight opportunity came with him, I knew that was destiny. And it made sense. And I knew I'd beat him. In fact, there's probably a couple of times I probably could have been a bit more dangerous in the fight, and I think I held back.
How did you know you would beat Shane Mosley?
Because I just knew, I believe I'll beat anyone my weight in the world, not just everyone on the Misfits platform. I spar with the best in the world. I fight I've fought the best in the world now a few times, and and I believe that I beat everyone. And and the stats show that too. My style is ugly because I taught myself, but it works. I come forward and I hit people more than they hit me. And so if my fights all got judged correctly, I've never lost a fight till this date. So
impressive. You've had the Shane Mosley fight. They said maybe beginner's luck almost, that was the narrative, and then you step in with James DeGale to whereby you was again.
Yeah.
Not given a second hope, but again, you made it absolutely competitive. You knocked him down, and you made an Olympic boxer. I guess.
Look bad.
I guess so.
Before Shane Mosley, I fought Cimarron Cole, who was a 2-time WBC world champion. So that was sort of my first big fight, Shane Mosley was obviously Shane Mosley, one of the greatest.
Sure.
James DeGale, we know, we just look at that as a win. We don't consider that a loss at all. There's not one person that's watched that fight and suggested that it was even close to a draw. So I hit him 90 to 45 times. Like you said, we dropped him a couple of times. And I got disqualified. But we know, we look at that as a win anyway. But I shouldn't have been able to hit, Olympic gold medalist, world champion, twice as many times in a 10-minute fight. But I did, and I should have backed myself more that fight. I normally back myself 100% in every fight. This is the first fight I doubted myself, and I believe if I hadn't doubted myself in this fight, I would have probably knocked him out in the first, second round. We were close, weren't we? It was close, but anyway.
So that fight happens, and you're now you're now known. You're now genuinely, you've got people's attention. You're preparing for this fight, and you're sparring the likes of Ben Whittaker. Saw a video. Ben gave you your kudos and said, "Wow, I was almost surprised by how good he is."
Yeah.
Can you speak on it?
Ben's a really, really nice guy, man. Andy Lee's a great guy, that gym there. Great people at that gym in Ireland. Ben's, probably the hardest I've sparred. Person I've sparred. I've sparred a lot of big names, man. I've sparred a lot of world champions, and he's definitely, up there. And it was great, man. It was a great experience. It was good for me to know where I'm at, because I've always, believed and backed myself. That sparring I didn't really need to do so close to this fight because of the size difference. He's a lot bigger than the guy I'm fighting, but I thought it'd be a good experience for me. So, after him, I started sparring people more like the guy I'm fighting size. But it was a great, experience. We'll do more rounds in the future, definitely. Andy Lee was impressed, so,
I heard he was very impressed.
Yeah.
But you're quite big for your weight. How weight cut? Because you're quite a big.
I lose a lot of weight. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. Even Shane Mosley, I was 76 to weigh in for, and I was 92 by the time I fought him. I'm very lucky. I wouldn't get that big for this fight. I'll probably get to about 88. But, I walk around about 90. I weigh in at 79 usually.
Sure.
And but depending on the fight, I wanted to be bigger for Shane.
Yeah.
And for this fight, I probably want to be lighter and leaner.
Okay. Right. So you're now kind of chasing bigger, better. Let's say you get past Anthony Taylor.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So we'll fight Tommy Fury next, and there's nothing there's really no one else for him on this platform except for me after his fight, and same for me. There's not really anyone on the platform for me except for him really. After I win the world title, Tommy keeps talking about wanting to fight for a world title and fighting real boxers. Well, after this, I'll have 2 world titles. And also, I'm the most legitimate boxer he ever would have faced.
See that as the tough fight?
Tommy? No. I think Tommy's a lot better than what people think. I don't think he's as good as what he thinks. I think he's an easy fight for me. I think I think he's good. I think he's a lot better, like I said, but I think I'm a lot better than him.
Impressive. So you're seeing the self-belief, what's being shown here. Where did that come from?
Like I've always backed myself. From when I was in prison, I had to. People didn't believe in me then, and when I got out, people didn't believe in me, and I keep proving people wrong. I thought I believed in myself, say like 100% right at the start, but now when I look back, it was probably 90%. And then when I got out and I started beating everyone in Perth, where I'm from, it probably became a higher percentage. And then when I started beating everyone in Australia, and then when I came to England and, started sparring the best in the world, and, it probably became 100%. So I've always backed myself. But now, after training and sparring with the best in the world and beating the best in the world and things like that, now I know 100%, At first, you want to believe it and you try to as much as you can.
Sure.
But then once you start actually doing it, like I've done, then you really, really believe it, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the 3 keys to your success?
The most important thing in anything, let alone fighting, is I 100% believe mindset comes first. And then I think second is your fitness. And then third is your skills.
Okay, fantastic. And let's just say Anthony Taylor,
Yeah.
tick. Tommy Fury, tick.
Yeah. Then I think Jake Paul has to fight me. I think, I think that's we will put up a good argument after I beat Tommy to fight Jake, because Jake, his only loss really is to Tommy. I know he lost to Anthony Joshua, but Josh was 50 kilos bigger than him. I think, yeah, that's right. I think Jake's only actual loss at his weight and things like that, and his arch nemesis and all that, like the storyline is Tommy. So I think I beat Tommy, and with my record and everything I've just said before and my story, I think we will put up a good argument to fight Jake. And then, if I beat Jake, then I can do what I really want to do, and that's I really want to fight the best fighters in the world.
Which is?
I say, when people ask me this question, I say Canelo, because when I was in prison, he still might be, but when I was in prison, getting ready and doing all these things, he was the best, at the time. Well, I thought he was. And so that's sort of my go-to guy, mainly for that reason. And today he's still, arguably, the best out there. So, when people ask me that question, that's what I say. That's sort of the go-to guy. That's the guy I want to fight, but, yeah.
Would you say boxing gave you life? Because it seems like actually in that prison cell you was still thinking so much about I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in the fighting game. Yeah. And if you didn't have that,
no, it probably did give me life. It probably did give me life. Other things gave me life, but definitely it motivated me, and it was I put a lot of thought into it. Yeah.
It's good. All right. And what would you tell the young Matt Floyd?
Yeah. I would say, I'd tell him to believe in himself and just back himself 100%. And I'd want him to do what I'm doing today, not what I was doing when I was young. I'd say, man, and I'll just tell him that just back yourself, man, and everything's going to be okay.
It's brilliant. And lastly, but not least, the Jedi.
Yeah.
There's a story behind.
So
called the Jedi.
When I was getting ready for our first pro fight, the promoter was like, Floyd, your last name's Floyd. Do you want to have a nickname? Because Floyd Mayweather's, a big name. It might interfere with the algorithm or the names or whatever. So I love ice baths and that, and I'll do them for like 20 minutes, and the boys would be like, how do you sit in there for like 20 minutes? And I'd be like, man, I'm just a fucking Jedi. My mind, mindset. And so yeah, when they were like, a name, the boys were like, bro, you're the fucking Jedi, And I was just like, yeah, can we use that name? And we looked it up and no one else was using it. So yeah, there it goes. And it really fits me because, even the coaches in Ireland or anywhere, like when I was sparring at Andy Lee's gym the other day, he was just, because they watch me, and even the coaches like Phil Sutcliffe and the one Tommy you were talking the other day, they'll watch me and they go, look, just do your thing, use the Force, use that Jedi. They talk about it all the time. They'll be like, do the Jedi, and they were saying to Andy, and they're like, mate, he just has this thing, he uses the Force. How I see, Andy said the other day, he thinks, the best thing is my reading ability, which is sort of a Jedi thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's just really,
Oh, were you?
It's meant to be.
We chatted a little bit off cam. You were saying because you know Conor McGregor as well, bare knuckle fighting.
Yeah.
Actually, that's in the lingo as well. They've also started speaking the lingo off. The Jedi. And,
yeah. They've even named a punch after me at the gym at Crumlin. They've changed one of the names to the punches because of me, and it's been talked about, the Jedi and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's good, man. It's good. Wow, what a story! Is there anything else you want to share? Because I think actually you are seen as an inspiration.
Yeah.
You are what boxing is all about. Someone who probably doesn't have too much to them. They can, through discipline, through responsibility, through accountability, can go from the bottom all the way to the top. And you've done that, which is in a magnificent, compelling story. What is some of the advice you can give to someone who is down right now, depressed, and maybe also sees a little bit of themselves in you, maybe abused, maybe, got a bad hand in life?
Thanks, I really appreciate what you said before, and I try. People ask me what to say to these people a lot, and I try to say I'm trying to be like living proof, rather than give words. My words are always like, anything humanly possible is within reach, and I always try and talk, but really they just need to watch what I'm doing and believe from what I'm living proof. So I'm showing any boy that's been abused, any boy that's been in prison, any adult that's in prison now, anyone with mental health issues. I'm showing every man, a man that's sitting in prison at 30 now, or a boy that's in foster care right now. I'm showing them all that anything can be done, that they can fight on the biggest platforms in the world and they can beat the best fighters in the world. They might want to become the best, footy player or scientist. It doesn't matter. I'm just showing them all that anything that they put their mind to can be done, and I'm living proof of that. So that's more than telling them, saying it. It's more me showing them. You know what I mean? That's more my message from showing them.
Was faith a part of that as well for you?
Belief in God, do you mean?
Yeah.
When I was a little boy, I used to believe in God a lot. And then obviously as I got older, I stopped believing because of life. Never ever fully stopped believing, just less is the best word. And now I'm really becoming a believer again. A lot's happened. I'm really searching for God at the moment. If I sat here and told you all my stories about how I ended up in Ireland, how my mother's from the same area, Crumlin, that Connor's from, and the coaches, and if I told you all these stories, you'd probably believe in God too. A lot's happened in the last couple of years, especially since I first went to Ireland before I came to England a year and a half ago or whenever it was. That has started making me really believe in God. I've had a lot of people come to me saying, man, you need to find, like a lot of messages, a lot's happening, and even me talking to you about it now and fighting on these platforms, everything's very divine intervention, and it's almost becoming undeniable, but I'm just trying to make sense of it all, and I'm definitely I've got a lot of belief at the moment.
Super positive. Any last words to your fans, to your friends, to your family, to your sponsors, and maybe to some of the cats you might be
I've just said it all then, really. My main message is I want to show everyone that, anything's possible, and I want them to really believe in themselves, and anyone can do what I'm doing, and that's what I'm trying to do, that's the main message, and
people get behind you?
How do people get behind me?
How do we follow you? How do we keep it? Have you got
Instagram?
You've got a gym?
Matty the Jedi Floyd is my Instagram.
Yeah.
That's that was the first. I started that a few years ago because I needed social media for fighting and that. But that was the start, and there's other ones now like Matt Floyd and on Facebook and whatever, I can't remember. But yeah, Matty the Jedi Floyd's probably, when you put that in, I think everything else will come around that. I think they're doing all that stuff. I've got people that do all that media stuff for me, so there'll probably be other ways of finding me. And you got Pinky's gym in O'Connor, back in West Australia. But more like, people can reach out to me. I usually, if I can, like I've got my mate, I've got old mate that he will tell me all the messages. So like I'll reach out to all of them and I'll message them back so they can reach out to me. And I usually get back to everyone if I know what's there. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming on the show today and giving me the time yesterday as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you can't get something from that, I don't know what you will, but that's a man of inspiration. He is going for another win on his record. Anthony Taylor on the 13th of June. Make sure you're there. This is DKJ signing out.
Thank you, brother. May the force be with you.
Thank you.